Good afternoon. My name is Hanson, and I work with the United Methodist Committee on Relief. Also, it's pretty awesome. I got to go after Danny because I'm an alum of those programs as well, and I can't say highly enough how much you should consider doing it sometime too. Have you ever had those moments in life where you saw something that just stirred your soul? Maybe there was a news clip that really got you going or got you angry or sad or worried for something. I had a lot of those growing up, and I think there's a lot going on right now in the news that can kind of affect us. But generally, I would talk through it with a parent or a friend and then kind of move on to the next thing. Or I would talk about an injustice in school and get really passionate about it. And I even went on mission trips with my youth group, and we got to meet and serve other people outside of our own community. But it wasn't until I was a senior in high school that I really took responsibility for doing something about how I felt when things happened. It was during is anybody a senior in high school? Anybody in high school here? All right, awesome. Anybody gonna be in high school someday? Has anybody been in high school before? Okay, good. We've pretty much got the whole room covered. So, if you know, having Christmas break is a really awesome time in high school. You've got that break. And I was watching TV, had some extra time. This was in 2004, and the Christmas tsunami, or the Indonesian tsunami as it was known, was hitting. It was started by an earthquake in the Indian Ocean outside of Indonesia that was the third strongest that we have on recorded history since 1900 with the seismograph that created tsunamis throughout the Indian Ocean. It affected 14 countries, and 230,000 people perished during this time. So I had a lot of time to watch this on the news to see what was happening. By the end of Christmas break, I was pretty devastated and didn't quite know what I could do. So I got back to school and I started talking with my friends about it. By that point, I was on student government, so I felt a responsibility for figuring out how we could act, what we could do. And so we started brainstorming. We had all of these senior class t-shirts that were misprinted that we weren't allowed to use, and we thought maybe we could send them there because they can use our t-shirts that we're not allowed to have here. Or maybe we could do a fundraiser. Maybe we could do education each week on a different one of those countries. I started talking to this woman that I went to church with, and she said, well, you know, Hannah, have you ever heard about the United Methodist Committee on Relief? And I said, well, I've heard about United Methodists. I don't know what you're talking about. She said, well, maybe you should look at their organization. They'll tell you really what you should send, what you shouldn't send, what's appropriate to do, because they're actually talking to people that are affected. So I went home, got online. It was dial-up internet at that point. Waited to get online, got online, and started researching some of the groups that we were talking about. It turned out that UMCOR was the only one where 100% of my donation was actually going to go to tsunami recovery. So I pitched this as the idea at our school to be able to give and contribute. We did some education around it, and it may not have been the biggest and largest amount of money in the world, but it was the first time that I had really chosen of my own accord to donate somewhere and feel good about where I was giving. I was looking at colleges at the time, was thinking about doing development work, and I thought, oh, maybe someday I'll get to work with UMCOR. Fast forward 10 years later, somehow I've gotten to work with UMCOR. It's not the way I thought it would be, but I'm really proud that I get to stand here and do the work that I get to do. I'm still proud that 100% of any of our donations will go to what we say it will go to. But I'm even more proud that I know the impact that was just kind of a drop in the bucket of what we raised was combined with United Methodists from all over the world, with our friends from all over the world to make a much larger impact. I want to show you a video of a little bit about what UMCOR's impact can be.
We are called to a great number of responsibilities, but who are we actually called to be? For 75 years, UMCOR has been called to be the hands and feet of Christ to a world weary with suffering and in need of hope. Through donations of money, time, skill, and prayer, United Methodists have supported UMCOR in its work of witnessing for peace, restoring lives, addressing injustice, and joining with others to build a sustainable future for a multitude of people in need. UMCOR has partnered with organizations all over the globe to provide aid to those affected by earthquakes, famine, floods, tsunamis, civil strife, hunger, poverty, and countless other devastating circumstances. And today, the amazing hands of UMCOR reach lives in over 80 countries worldwide, partnering to provide hope and help in many different ways. Through partnerships, livelihoods are being created and restored, schools built, children educated, health improved, and churches are empowered. By building lasting relationships with local, state, and federal governments, developing crisis intervention strategies, and managing unprecedented funding, UMCOR has reached new heights of responsible caring for vulnerable populations on behalf of the Church. And our commitment continues as we help tackle challenges related to global migration, food security, and global climate change. By working alongside our missionaries, providing school kits for children, revitalizing clean water systems for communities, and rebuilding homes and lives devastated by natural disasters, the United Methodist Church continues to be the hands and feet of Christ to a world in constant need. For 75 years, UMCOR has been at the front line, providing the help and hope that our world desperately needs. And today, because of you, UMCOR stands poised to begin the next chapter in its amazing history. We believe the next 75 years can be even more significant than its first. We are called to a great number of responsibilities in the world today. But who are we actually called to be? Be love, be hope, be UMCOR.
Turns out disasters aren't going away. Human-made conflicts, natural disasters, with climate change, with other issues that you may care about, we actually are seeing more of this. UMCOR is really working to make sure that we have that impact. We've got trained volunteers. We've got people that send kits. It's this whole connection that makes it possible for us not only to keep to humanitarian standards and work with other aid organizations around the world, but to make sure we're prepared in our own communities to stop the disastrous effects that disasters can happen. Because if we're prepared, if we know what happens, if we can help reduce the risk of disasters to certain communities, we have less lives lost. It's really hard sometimes. There's a lot of struggles, a lot of fights to figure out how we do it the best way, how we truly partner with communities, not going and trying to help because we know best, but knowing communities know the best way to figure out what they're doing. And so I'm really hopeful looking at all of you, especially those that are still in high school or a little less, for the next 75 years of UMCOR. What are the most sustainable ways that we can do this? The ways that we can partner best, the ways that we see the dignity of God in every human that we serve and work with. Because disasters can affect any of us, and they take all of us to be able to respond and know that we're creating more of the kingdom of God when something happens for a person. And if it's not UMCOR, I hope you listen to some of those stirrings in your soul, finding ways that if there's something you think that you can impact and react, look around the room, look around this conference, and get ideas with people from other parts of the country, other parts of the world, so that you can make a more lasting impact. We have that ability from this connectional system through the United Methodist Church, and so I'm excited to see what you'll do with it. Thank you.